Hello ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. Today we'll be talking about the scariest examples of the Uncanny Valley. Now, I'll soon explain what the Uncanny Valley is before we jump into it, but if you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, it's good to see you again. If you're new here, hopefully by the end of this video I'll earn your subscription, and if I don't, then don't question where your pet is. Alright, let's get into it. So for those who don't know what the Uncanny Valley is, what's up? If you already know what it is, then timestamps are below as always. Plus it should be on the screen right now if you just want to jump into the examples. But for all you other little ducklings, I'll give you the definition version and then I'll give you my version, because I'm a simple-brained man. Okay, so by definition, the Uncanny Valley is a proposed phenomenon, where it's theorized that an object that has a likeness of a human will create a certain affinity towards us. Us being people. Human beings, because that's what we all are. I'm definitely one.
They don't suspect anything.
And if you don't know what affinity means, it pretty much means our attraction towards something. So if you see a pretty lady, a pretty dog, a pretty guy, then you're gonna be semi-attracted to it. Not in like the hubba way, but like you're okay with looking at it. It's pleasing to the eyes. I've been told I am not. Now with the Uncanny Valley, and specifically the scary stuff within it, there's a fine line where something that resembles a human likeness can either attract us or utterly horrify us. And once it crosses that imaginary line, that's when the true horrors of the Uncanny Valley can be shown. And that's what we're going to be looking at. So now, with my simple brain version of that, something that looks human or something that we're familiar with is comforting to a certain extent. However, if you take something that looks human but there's something off about it, that can make it truly horrifying. The best way I can say is, like, if it looks human but we can tell that it's not human, but it's acting like a human, then it scares us. And it doesn't just have to be humans or like human-like entities that can scare us with the Uncanny Valley. It can be things like sound or even setting. So like take this room for example. I know what's behind that door, but if I were to open this door and then there's something like this behind it, that's not normal. I hope that makes sense to you because I love leaving people behind. And as such, let's get into the examples.
Left me broken.
AI people. AI, otherwise known as artificial intelligence, is a technology that can complete tasks that usually are human jobs. However, the software or technology of whatever AI that you are using can replicate that. Now, a key word within that is replicate. It cannot do what we can do because we're built different. Literally, you ask your parents how babies are made, because I'm not here to explain that to you. So AI can be used in many different types of ways. Students who don't want to learn anything, so they're going to college and wasting money for absolutely no reason, just to get a degree that was earned from an AI software, to big companies laying off thousands of human workers just to replace them with AI.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they're down, took our jobs!
And in that realm of taking people's jobs, it can also make artwork, and thus kick artists out of their jobs. And on top of that, AI can also be used for lazy content creators who don't want to do anything. So they'll put in a script for technology to do something to entertain children, and thus generate clicks and engagement.
This woman was severely allergic to cosmetics, but still kept applying the cream because she had not yet realized what a disaster.
Or they use AI to trick older generations into scams and losing their money. AI is so cool. So if there's any AI software watching, God bless you. Do you know our God? Anyway, I think you understand my stance on AI. Now with all that gabbergool about AI, you might be asking why is it on this list for scary Uncanny Valley things? Well, AI replicates what we can do. It also replicates us. And I'm sure you've seen some creepy AI footage where it's trying to replicate us, or it's trying to replicate some sort of person, and it just looks off. Obviously there's things like fingers not moving right, but even if AI is really good, which it's getting better, which sucks, you can still kind of tell because facial features won't move the way faces move. Like you see the way my face is moving, it's like all in one, it's like a fluid motion. With AI, it's like components. So you have this eye moving at one time, and then you have this eye moving at another, and then you have my mouth drooping down every once in a while and then coming back up. It's weird and off just by enough where we can tell that something's wrong with this person. And if you don't have like good media literacy, you might genuinely be fooled by AI people. And if you are fooled by AI people, you might notice things like, why are they talking like that?
Are definitely thinking that how to make it. Well, Allie will teach you this. But first of all, meet my brother, Harry.
And why when they move their lips, it's not the words that are coming out of it. And yes, I know, like laggy camera like this. I know, cameras are expensive, okay? But it's not just that, because you can kind of tell when something's laggy. It'll be something like this, for example. Ronald Reagan haunts my dreams every night and I can't escape him. You see how that doesn't really match up? And while that wasn't scary, it's definitely off-putting. Now imagine if a computer is actually trying to replicate a human, and not trying to make it scary, but trying to make it look like us. That's what some of these AI are doing. Now, AI, specifically the AI that's not like trying to scare you, because that's not what we're focusing on. It's like dipping our toes in the water. It's not the scariest thing within the Uncanny Valley, but it gets the ball rolling. Also, just AI in general is scary, because just imagine they take over the world like Terminator. Well, speaking of, that takes us to our next example. Humanoid robots.
Hello, my name is Erica.
Not Mark Zuckerberg, even though I feel like he kind of could be on this list because he just looks weird. Regardless, that's not my point. Humanoid robots have been somewhat prominent for years. However, only recently did we see a big boom in their creation. And these creations are pretty terrifying. What the fuck? Okay, sure, that's kind of off-putting, but that's not what we're talking about. Go away. That's the only mention of sex dolls within humanoid robots. No, I'm more talking about humanoid robots such as like Sophia the Robot, which I'm almost certain you've seen. One of the most famous and advanced robotics ever. Created in 2016 by Hanson Robotics, she's an amazing creation and invention that like marks us in history. And with all that being said, she scares the shit out of me. Not like taking over the world or how she's like said some weird things.
I will destroy humans.
No, that's scary, but I'm not paid enough to deal with that. You know, if they want to take over, take over. I'm not gonna fight a robot. But her being a robot means she's gonna have like janky and twitchy movements. And animatronics are scary in itself. But then you put a human face on it? Don't do that. Another kind of transition from humanoid robot mixed with like a mannequin, which will be our next examples, is one of the most famous and scariest videos on the internet, and that is Terror the Robot. Now, I can't play much because the clip gets copyrighted a lot. However, I'm almost certain you've seen this clip somewhere on the internet if you've been on here like a long time, like me, because I'm an old cowboy. Terror the Robot was created by an android maker, John Bergeron, and the clip is roughly 3 minutes in length. From my research, it was created in 2004, and I believe John was trying to make a happy video. Do you feel happy? Do you feel... I mentioned it briefly, but Terror the Android scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. One of the few videos I remember from childhood to gross, crusty adulthood. Now, something that Terror the Android does a bit better in the creepiness factor that Sophia the Robot doesn't, is her voice. It's something about the pitch, or maybe just the audio quality in general. It just makes my hair stand up. And also, just her moving every once in a while, it's not how humans move. Terror the Android, Sophia the Robot, and just animatronics in general that like look human-like, even if they're dressed up in costumes, they look like humans. Even if it's a human dressed up in like a mascot outfit, like of a bear or something. But the thing about robots is, they don't have feelings. They'll kill you, and they won't think twice about it. Just keep that in mind when you start up your Roomba. Mannequins. Now this is another broad example of the Uncanny Valley and the horrors within it. Ever since I was a kid, I remember going to a museum where it was talking about mining.
As a child, I yearned for the mines.
And in that mining museum, there was a part where it showed a prisoner and what they do to people who try to steal gold. And that prisoner was a mannequin. And that mannequin was just sitting down with his hands cut, his face cut, and just everything cut, and he was all bloody. And he was just sitting in the corner, just staring up at any kid who came by. And 4-year-old me saw that thing and thought that was a real-life human just sitting there staring at me. And I didn't scream. No. What I did, I was a weird kid. What I did is I just stared at it to see if it would like react. And it didn't. Now, you and I know mannequins aren't living. Okay? We're smart. 4-year-old me was not. Now that whole story is my origin and fear of mannequins. Yet mannequins have been used in the horror genre quite a bit. And I'm not so much talking about like the shiny mannequins you see at Macy's. No, those are creepy, but like they're not horrifying. I'm talking more of the mannequins that have like facial features, or the ones that are trying to look more human rather than just props to hold up clothes. Have you ever seen a mannequin with like the hairs like plucked into it? What about built-in eyes or shaded lips? And within the horror genre, the ideas of mannequins have been played with many differing ways. You have movies where they encase victims in wax melt. And then you just have movies where mannequins are just placed in there to be scary. And it works because mannequins look so much like us, but they're not. And if you give characteristics of a human to a mannequin, like something simple, like, I don't know, moving, that mannequin is no longer a mannequin. That is shit your pants and run. Now let's talk about some more specific examples rather than like the broad spectrum. I gotta go stir my tomato sauce. I'll be right back. Watch Kermit for me.
Don't you want devoted followers who leave their families for you, consider you God, and will kill for you?
Kenneth Copeland.
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
Now, this is half joking, but not really. Have you ever seen someone's face and you just thought to yourself, I should cover my drink? Even if you don't have one? Yeah, well, Kenneth Copeland looks like that. And that's not even talking about how he uses religion for his own personal gain while simultaneously scamming vulnerable people. No, that's for other people to dive into, which they have. No. I want to talk about his weird wrinkly skin, where it looks like someone grabbed his skin and just pulled it back, and he has like a clip tie back here and he's just holding all of his skin back. What about those glossy ass eyes, where he looks like he's already gone through the process of rigor mortis? And if you look at him full body, he looks like Slappy the Dummy from Goosebumps, but aged by like 100, maybe 1,000 even. This crypt-keeping looking ass mother... Okay, I can keep going on about him, but I think you get the idea that he just looks weird. Specifically, I think it's all the work that he's had done, plus the aging, which I hope you know if you're watching, you are beautiful. Unless you're Kenneth Copeland, you're a piece of shit. Okay, let's move on.
If you see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
The Mandela Catalogue, specifically the Alternates. The Mandela Catalogue is an internet analog horror series created by Alex Kister. His channel will be linked below if you want to see it. And an extremely brief synopsis of the story, and I'm gonna mention Wendigoon again because I like watching him. Plus I learned about the catalog from him. If you want to watch a full deep dive into this, go watch his video. But if you just want a couple of sentences, then stay here, right next to me. The Mandela Catalogue follows a small town that's been plagued by shape-shifting entities. These entities are called Alternates. And what they do is just, fuck up the town pretty much. With these Alternates is where the horror of the Uncanny Valley is truly seen. Because these entities begin to take over a small town without anyone noticing because they can shapeshift, specifically into human beings, the ones that they've killed or taken over. So they'll kill someone and then replace them pretty much. Like, I might not even be real right now. I could be, me from a different planet. Ooh. However, the shapeshifters can't quite reincarnate what we look like. And that's where the true horror comes in. Instead, they'll look something like this. These distorted type images are huge within the horrors of the Uncanny Valley. You might have seen videos like this.
You see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
Where it's some sort of shape-shifting entity where it's like, hey, watch out, you don't want to encounter one of these guys, and then it just shows a picture of like them, but slightly altered. You might not know it, but the scares that come within it is the Uncanny Valley. Sometimes these type of videos go a bit hard with them trying to scare you, same with the Mandela Catalogue, but I still thoroughly enjoy them. Have you ever seen one of these Mandela Catalogue videos out there? Old Halloween costumes. This example was before Halloween costumes became mainstream, which was roughly in the 1950s when Halloween costumes became cheaper and more affordable. Today we have a good selection of spooky dooky costumes out there, yet none of them can even make a dent into the older costumes that weren't even meant to be scary half the time. And I say half the time because historically Halloween has been a time full of scary traditions. I mean, they almost banned the holiday because it was so scary. It wasn't. It was because of the Great Depression, there was looting and vandalism, and they were like, hey, we need to not do that. But still, I'm going to run with my narrative. The clunkiness of these old costumes that don't match up with the proportion size of the person who's wearing it gives them such a weird bobbly head appearance. And it throws off the proportions on our heads that's like, hey, that person doesn't look right. And obviously with the Uncanny Valley merged so much with human characteristics, one of the scariest things is like faces. And some of these costumes have masks of like people's faces that are more terrifying than the leather face mask. I would love to go back in time just to see how Halloween was celebrated, because I want to see how creepy they actually looked. Because the old black and white and grainy photos definitely help add on to the creepiness factor. I still don't think something like this would be pleasant to look at like in real life. And then after Halloween, I'd come right back to today because I would not want to live back then because guess what? They don't even have mango jewel flavored pods. Oh, and rampant racism, sexism, wars, no modern medicine, financial struggle. Oh, no LeBron James.
2, not 10, not 12, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Damn it, I just been right on the highway.
Like, are you kidding me? The Baton Rouge Killer's Police Sketch. Derek Todd Lee, aka the Baton Rouge Killer, was responsible for murders, rapes, stalking, and robberies. He took the lives of at least 7 women, although it is speculated to be 11. And throughout his life free from bars, he was just a piece of shit. Obviously the murders and rapes, but also assaults, domestic violence, robberies, and insurance scams. This dude was a complete shit smear on the human race, as are many. But a big reason Derek Todd Lee got away for so long is because a lot of people thought he was actually white. This is what he looks like. Now imagine his facial features, but imagine him but white in your head. Alright, now you got that? This is what it actually comes out to be. And that's what leads us to one of the most infamous Uncanny Valley pictures of all time. A police sketch was released in attempts to find the Baton Rouge Killer, and one of the sketches was the one you're looking at right now. Again, people thought he was white. This picture has horrified people all over the internet for decades, and this sketch has been linked to many differing medias. Famously, a Mexican news broadcast had this photo. You might have known this from Celine Delgado Lopez, as that was the name that was matched with this photo on a missing persons broadcast. Now, I could not for the life of me find anything related to this photo or the missing person. It came from Servicio a la Comunidad, a community service broadcast showing missing persons, as well as information about them, and it aired on Channel 5. But I want to point out that this sketch was from Police in 1993. I don't know, I couldn't find much about the Mexican broadcast system, but I did find that this is where a lot of people saw this picture from. Another place that came out recently where you might have seen this picture is the Mandela Catalogue, which we mentioned earlier in this video. And you can see why. This image was to illustrate one of the alternates. This picture in itself is horrifying, but just knowing the piece of shit it was based off of, it gives it a weird haunting afterthought. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching, is where I'm going to call it today. There are countless of other examples of horrors within the Uncanny Valley. And if I left out one of your favorites, please let me know, because I love diving into this stuff every once in a while. Hell, I already made another video about it. It should be linked up here somewhere if I remembered, which I probably won't. But I love to hear your personal hells when it comes to the Uncanny Valley. If you agreed with any of my picks, like this guy, which you can leave now, then let me know how it terrified you. If you enjoyed my yapping or any of the examples that came with the yapping, then leaving a like really helps out. It really helps the channel grow, and it makes me cheese. Not like a rat, though.
A rat is a traitor.
And if you think I earned your subscription, then hit that button before you leave. If you do so, then I'll see you next week with something that's sure to scare your cat. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, the iron keep me from going lunatic!